everybody. Welcome back to the Glory Man United podcast. I'm your host, as always, Kyle Quinn. And joining me today for the first time in about 3 months or so, Nigel. How's it going, Nigel?
Not too bad, thanks.
Yeah, I just looked there. It was pre-season the last time you were on. Is after one of the friendlies in America, so it's been a little while. United had been on a three-game winning run there, but unfortunately they've not made it four. It's been a frustrating two each draw away to Forest. United going 1-0 up from a goal from a contentious corner. Forest not happy with the award of the corner, but it wasn't the worst decision in the world because the ball looks like it's over the line from some angles, and some angles it looks like some of the ball's not over the line. So can't really blame the officials for that one. And Forest, 5 minutes of madness at the start of the second half led to United conceding two quick goals, and that's happened far too often in recent seasons. So that weakness is still there. United came back with a stunner from Amad Diallo, and Amad Diallo almost getting the winner at the end, which was cleared off the line. So, Nigel, an extremely frustrating day, and it almost feels like a defeat, doesn't it?
It does. We were in the top six going to a ground where the team was demotivated. It sacked their manager, had only 5 points, a well in the minus goal difference. I expected a lot more from our team today. They were very, very poor.
Yeah, I mean, going into the game, Forest only had 5 points. They'd only scored five goals this season. They hadn't won since the opening day. So I was fairly confident that United would get the victory, but United's performance wasn't that great. Now, the stats tell us that we had more possession, we had slightly more shots, we had a lot more shots on target, but what we saw was chaotic in spells from United, particularly at the start of the second half, as I mentioned. And another really poor performance from Diogo Dallo on the left hand side. He really needs to be dropped now. Well, will he be dropped because he's Portuguese? And Ahmad was involved in almost everything yesterday. Some really good things, obviously, and then the defensive frailties have been exposed there. The job he's been asked to do is a bit unfair. When he's being isolated one on one against Callum Hudson Odoi, there's only going to be one winner because Ahmad's instincts are not defending. And then uh, for the first Forest goal, he's been asked to defend the back post and beat Morgan Gibbs in the air. That's completely unreasonable. Um, for me, long term, we have to have a specialist in that position if we're going to continue with this system. But in the short term, Lenny Yarrow or whoever is playing on that right side of centre back position, they need to get a lot closer to Ahmad and help him out when he's facing wingers like Hudson Odoi, Nigel.
Yeah, you're quite right. Not uh, if and when, as soon as possible, Martinez comes back in there, Lenny Earl should move across and, as you say, be able to assist Ahmad because every United supporter I know wants him at the other end of the pitch where he can combine with Mbemo and there's all sorts of movement and one twos. But the club itself, the manager has to realise that it's a real risk playing him as deep as he is when he can't defend, and that has to be addressed urgently, I would say.
Yeah, he's only playing in that role because well, we don't really have a specialist for the role. Maybe Dallo and Mazrahi don't have the attacking instincts to play that role, and of course, Mambumo and Kuna are occupying the 10 roles. So Ahmad's just kind of been shoehorned in there, and it's not ideal. We saw what it can bring from an offensive point of view yesterday, but we also saw the defensive weaknesses of having a winger in that position. And Dallo was even worse. I think for the first goal, Dallo, of course, doesn't get close enough to his man, and he doesn't make a tackle. He doesn't close anyone down. And then for the second goal, it's even worse because he's sucked into the middle again. And we already have three centre backs in there. I don't know what he's doing in there. And it's Kuna who's left to try and cut out the cross, which he doesn't obviously because he's a forward player. And then Lenny Yarrow and I think Delict jump for the cross. And Dallo was just standing there ball watching. The ball comes down. He makes a half-hearted tackle because he's afraid of giving away a penalty. and then the ball's just tucked away. And Dallo made several mistakes in possession as well. And then we saw that element that he does where we're counter attacking. We're hoping for a quick paced counter attack, and before Forest get the players back, and Dallo just stops and passes it back because he doesn't have the confidence to take on the fullback. We see that, and our attacks get break down then, and Forest get 10 men behind the ball, and it's very very frustrating. And he's bad enough when he's on the right hand side, but on the left hand side, as you've said, he's worse, and he's not bringing anything to the table. He's not helping us defensively, and he's not helping us going forward either. And it's something the manager needs to address urgently. Is he just playing because he's Portuguese?
Well, there's a debate about that. I don't know, but it's just clear to most people that he's out of his depth. He just cannot play at that level. So effectively, when the manager picks him every week, we're a man down before we start. That's how bad he is with his lack of pace, his lack of vision, his lack of discipline. The first thing you do as a defender is mark your man and stay tight and close him down. Doesn't do any of those things. And we've talked about Ahmad on the other side. The manager is there a year yesterday, Kyle, and if he doesn't see that there's something seriously wrong, he has to address that urgently. Because why should we be playing really well in other parts of the pitch and then being let down by that and costing us goals and it's costing us points?
Yeah, without a doubt. And Lenny Yarrow is he's still learning. He's still young. So it's you got a young player on that right hand side of the defense, and then you've Ahmad, who's not a defender. It's an obvious weakness that probably Hudson Odoi was told to exploit yesterday, and that's what happened. Um, Maybe as you say, Martinez comes back in for Shaw. Maybe Lenny Yarrow could move to the middle, and maybe Delict could play on the right. Because if you're going to play Ahmad there, you need an experienced defender who's going to come across and help him out. And maybe Yarrow doesn't know to do that, or I don't know. It just seems like you're you open yourself up to other teams targeting you on that side when you have a winger as your wing back, and then you have a very inexperienced defender on the right hand side of the defense. So it's something that the manager needs to change the personnel there. Um, I know Ahmad is obviously linking up really well with Mbuma going forward, which is great to see.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just not a defender, and it's not his instinct. Now he's gonna track back. He's gonna give you a shift. But you cannot have situations where Ahmad is 1v1 versus a really talented winger on the opposition team. But yeah, the manager has to address this. Let's see if he does next week. Like, there's no way that he can pick the same back five as what he did last week. And at the very least, I want to see Jallo drop out for Dorgu. And when Dorgu came on, Dorgu is obviously still learning as well, and he's not perfect, especially in the offensive side of the game. But defensively, he's clearly a lot better. He gets closer, doesn't he? And he wins tackles, and we've seen him do that when he came on. And the manager talked about this in the press conference afterwards. That he said that he mentioned Dallo's mistakes and things that Dallo wasn't doing well. He said Dallo likes to cut in and he wasn't getting the crosses in with his left foot. But you picked him, Amram. You're the one that picked him, and he had options.
Absolutely. We've talked many times about having a left footed player on that side of the pitch, and Dorgu's now he's not the finished article, and as you say, he's young, but his delivery's much better, and he's got a bit of pace down that side. But Dallo has nothing like that to offer. The manager has to see this and change it.
Yeah, I mean, like me and you talked about Dallo 2 or 3 years ago about not being good enough for Manchester United, and back then there were a lot of fans who were fans of his and didn't
Mm.
understand our criticism. But now all of a sudden everybody's thinking like us.
Indeed, he did. He never gets booked enough to even have him suspended to miss to allow somebody to come in and stay in the team. You know, I suppose if you don't tackle people, you won't be booked, will you? If you're starting off your winger and just letting them look up and cross to the centre forward, you're never going to get booked because you won't get in and put a tackle in, let him know you're about. He doesn't even do that, you know.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. I mean, he doesn't get near anybody, so how's he going to get booked? Um, yeah. So we can't have a situation at the back post where Diallo was trying to outjump Morgan Gibbs. I mean, somebody has to sort that out. Um, yeah, I suppose that Lenny Yarrow's inexperience comes in there as well, and not being aware of where of who was behind him, and that Ahmad was in trouble. And that's what I mean when I would probably go with, away from home in particular. I'd probably go with Delict as a right-sided defender, because you want experience helping out Ahmad there. Um, yeah, we got ourselves into a bit of a defensive mess there. And then United have a real habit in recent years, particularly under Ten Hag and Amarim, of conceding back-to-back goals. And we did that again. Top teams don't do that, so that's something we need to sort out. But having said that, in recent seasons, United probably would have conceded a third and maybe a fourth and lost the game, but we came back, equalised, and nearly won the game. So what about Ahmad's goal? Like, the technique was absolutely phenomenal, wasn't it?
Fantastic technique. He leant back and hit it beautifully. And he had a chance to win it near the end. It was brave defending on the line, but as you said at the time, he sort of semi scuffed it. If he hit it as hard as he hit the one that he scored, I think it would have gone in before the defender got an intervention.
Yeah, he hit it into the ground, it bounced up, and it was a good height for the defenders to clear it, and there wasn't enough power on it, as you say. But yeah, very very close to a winner there. But what about Bruno Fernandes's effort to hit the post? That was
Yeah,
a
yeah,
yeah, it was
that was from great distance too, and he wasn't saving it. It was just one of those days for Bruno. Another day it could have. But the contrast in the do you remember the Ahmad alleged penalty when it went down his arm and one thing or another? You contrast that with the goal that we got when the linesman was too far away and VAR wasn't used. So it swings and rounds about in the professional game, Kyle. You've seen a penalty given many times in the one that Ahmad got away with, if you want to put it that way. And yet we got away with a goal with the ball wasn't fully over the line. I mean, a lot of guys yesterday, United supporters were saying, well, we'd have been unhappy if that had we'd lost a goal because the ball wasn't. So it's fair and right, but it shouldn't come to that, Kyle. We're a better team than them. The table tells us that, but you have to let them off the you can't. I mean, the post match press conference where the manager says we played well. I didn't need to make substitutes. I thought that if I brought them on, it would disrupt the flow of the game. There was no flow of the game. How often did we say Nottingham Forest players were first to the ball? They were competing the entire 90 minutes. They're in a dangerous position, in a relegation position, and you could see that. We just didn't see enough from our players yesterday. That was the greatest disappointment.
yeah. It felt at times as if the Forest players were putting in that wee 5% effort more than what we were seeing from the black shirts. And we were discussing during the game that we felt there was an element of United players beginning to believe their own hype after 3 wins in a row, uh,
Yeah,
which is not great. I mean, you haven't, you're not Arsenal United players. You haven't got to that level yet. You need to be, when you're going away from home against Nottingham Forest. They're going to be given 110%, especially with the new manager bounce. So you need to be matching their effort, and I'm not sure that we saw it yesterday. And even if the opposition are trying by 2% harder, that's still going to make a difference. A Man United team cannot be outworked by the opposition. And
yeah. Well, you mentioned the stats at the start of the game. United at 59% possession away from home. That they should be dominating and lots of shots. Didn't seem like that to us, did it? It really didn't. And you have to have better use of the ball and people looking for the ball. I mean, Sesko was very poor at centre forward, didn't hold the ball up at all, wasn't involved in the heading. He was running about a bit, but he wasn't in the game, Kyle. And he's a better player than that. We've seen it already. Anybody can have an off game, but boy, the manager should have seen that and changed that. He just kept it and inexcusable for me.
yeah, and Kuna didn't have one of his better days either.
No,
But Mambumo was still very good as always.
he was
Um,
absolutely, yeah.
and so no fan would have complained if it had taken off either Shesko or Kuna or both, and just try to change it. Go with Mount and Xerxes and try something else. I mean, I can't remember another situation where a team has been losing 2-1 in the Premier League and the manager makes two subs and they're both defensive subs. I don't get that. He said, as you said in his post-match press conference, he said that he didn't feel that the reason why we're losing was because of the front three, and the reason why he brought on Mazrahi for Lenny Yoro because he thought that Yoro was getting a lot of space to attack down that right hand side, and he felt that Mazrahi would offer more than Yoro in an offensive position. And then he said that like Dallo was cutting back on his right foot and not crossing the ball in, and he thought we needed Dorgu for that. I'm sure he should have started Dorgu then. But
Yeah,
yeah, you have to do more than that when you're chasing a goal. Like we remember the Fergie years, he would have brought on two or three strikers yesterday to try and get a goal. So
absolutely.
I'm just not buying the manager's analysis.
No, I'm not buying it either. And look how those two substitutions you referred to were 68 and 77 minutes already too late. I mean, we've talked often that we're not in Europe and we lost at Grimsby in the League Cup. Those professionals are training all week, and Amarim's excuses last season when we played very poorly was didn't have enough time with them and were playing too often and all the rest of it. Those people like Xerxes and Menu are there all week, every week, and we were playing away from home against a bottom three team, and these guys are chomping at the bit to prove themselves that they should be in for selection, and he doesn't give them an opportunity. I mean, that's soul destroying for any professional footballer.
Yeah, and I know Xerxes and Menu are clearly out of favour with the manager, but he's made it clear that he loves Mason Mount, and yet it's two games in a row he hasn't come off the bench. Now last week we put it down to he had a bit of a knock and he didn't want to risk him in a game that we're winning against Brighton. But yesterday, clearly, when you're 2-1 down, surely with Kuna not being at his best, that he would look to Mason Mount, but he didn't. I just don't get that. Do you?
No, no, but it doesn't. It's not a good vibe for squad morale. Squad morale wouldn't be good after that yesterday because you and I and everybody watching that could see it wasn't happening. Any team can have an off day and it's not working, but there is a stubbornness to him. He doesn't like admitting that he's wrong. To us, it would have been him using some vision and positivity to change the game and win the game. And he seemed happy with a point after the game. I wasn't happy with the point. Were you?
Absolutely not. For the reasons that I said at the start, given where Forest are in the league, they haven't won since the opening day. Before yesterday's game, they had 5 points and 5 goals. That's a game that I was an away game that I was targeting 3 points in. Like and away to Tottenham, I might have been happy with a point, but I
Yeah.
wanted 3 points away to Forest, given where they are in the league and where we are in the league. As you said, going into the game, they had 5 points and we had 16. That should have been 3 points for Manchester United.
Yeah, and with a minus 12 goal difference at the end of the game, it shows you their back four isn't steady and isn't playing well, and they were there for the taking if we'd done enough to take them, but we didn't do enough. We didn't do enough yesterday to win that game. Did you think so? I didn't.
No, no, definitely not. It was not a good performance from United. Um, yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, we missed the opportunity to go second as well, and we've seen Liverpool leapfrog us again in the league, which is really disappointing.
Yeah,
Um,
and if City beat Bournemouth, they'll pass us, and that'll be another place down. Be down to eight
yeah.
then, will we?
So now we have to go to Tottenham and win. I feel now Chelsea won there last night, and apparently Tottenham were lackluster.
Mm.
I hope they play like that again next week. They definitely give us chances. And Chelsea could have had more goals in that game. So as whether Tottenham are going to be that bad 2 weeks in a row at home it's a totally different question. But we'll see. But now that game has to be a win because we don't want two
Abs-
draws in a row.
No, but I mean, we have the attacking players this season that we didn't have, and there's no point. Amarim talking about last year we wouldn't have won, we wouldn't have got a point and all that. That's gone. I've forgotten about last season because as every Manchester United fan knows, that was a disaster. One of the worst seasons since relegation in '74-5, and all the defeats one after the other. We want to move on and attack teams and win games. Let's see more positivity from them.
Yeah, yes, I get the point about that last season we would have capitulated. maybe even under Ten Hag, we would have capitulated when we went 2-1 down yesterday and we came back and drew the game. But drawing is not the benchmark for Manchester United. It's winning. That's what this club is about.
Absolutely correct. That's it.
And as so, Brushy here is in the comments, and he says poor performance, but a point away at a new manager bounce Forest isn't the worst result. We were unlucky too with one or two chances, obviously with Bruno hitting the post and Ahmad's chopping clean off the line. And he says we really need a left wing back in January. Yeah, so Dallo there is a massive weakness in that position. Dorgu should really be an understudy, not first choice. And yeah, Diego Leon's not ready for Premier League football at the minute. So and you could argue that we need a right wing back as well because Ahmad is just been he's like a square peg in a round hole. He's just been placed in there because Mambumo has taken his position as the left hand. So yeah, those are uh, areas that we need to address in the upcoming transfer markets. And obviously, we talk about Casemiro now, who's 3 goals this season he has, and he's always a threat from set pieces. We saw it again yesterday. He headed it down into the ground, possible for the keeper to save, and he's doing well. He's doing well, reasonably well for his age. Totally unexpected. I mean, a year ago he's behind Toby Collier in the pecking order, and it seemed like he was finished. But now, I suppose that but Ugarte is it's just not at this level, in my opinion. Toby Collier is obviously out on loan now, so Casemiro is back as the number one uh, defensive midfielder, but this has to be his last season, and we have to be looking at replacing him in the summer. And one of the players being linked with replacing him is Elliot Anderson from Forest, and I felt he played really well yesterday. Not only is he good on the ball from a technical point of view, but he's extremely physical player as well, not afraid to put himself about or get a yellow card. And he's an England international now as well. He's starting every game under Thomas Tuchel for England, and definitely I'd be looking at signing him in the summer, Nigel.
Yeah, he looks he's a competitor too, guy. He seems to enjoy every game that he's on the pitch. He's young and he's making his career, and he doesn't look out of the way in the England squad and playing for a team at the moment like Forest. Fair play to him, and I admire the way he was getting. He was putting the tackles in all over the pitch yesterday, and he certainly was noticed by the United fans watching him as one to look out for.
And obviously been linked with Adam Wharton as well, Crystal Palace. He's a very good player on the ball. Wouldn't we could do with signing two midfielders to be honest in the summer, because I think that's a real area of weakness as well. A wing back and midfield is definitely what we need to focus on now because we've totally changed our attack. We've got the new goalkeeper, we've got good centre halves. We could argue might need one more, if at all possible. And we've got Martinez to come back in, of course. But I think in 2026, we really need to focus on the wing back areas and on midfield. We need to totally rebuild the midfield. As Casemiro's contract's up, he'll be leaving. You would think. Um, Bruno Fernandes constantly been linked with a transfer to Saudi Arabia. Let's see if that one is revisited. Ugarte is just not at this level, in my opinion, and clearly Amram thinks so too because he's been an on-use sub quite a lot this season. And the other midfielders, Manu, who we all admire and all think that he's got the talent to play for United, and he's showcased it on many big occasions, including the FA Cup final and games against Liverpool and Arsenal, and that wonderful goal he got against Wolves, and the equaliser against Leon, which we'll never forget. But he's not in favour with this manager. He's not getting any game time, and with no midweek fixtures this season, there's not much rotation. So Casemiro and Bruno might move on. So there's an opportunity there for signing two midfielders, and I haven't been impressed with Baliba this season at Brighton. He was the one strongly linked in the summer, but he's had his head turned and he doesn't seem to have recovered from that. He wasn't very good against United, whereas Anderson was. And Adam Morton's is a fantastic player. Every time I see him, he starred for Crystal Palace in the FA Cup final against City. So yeah, Wharton and Anderson would be my choices, Nigel.
Yeah, yeah, I think they're very good indeed, and of the quality that we need, Kyle. But the one person we haven't mentioned today yet is the goalkeeper. Now, there's another sound game. I said at one stage, look, he's doing all the basics right, and he can kick left and right. I was a bit concerned that for the first time in recent games, we started the short stuff at the back, and he didn't look any more comfortable with that than the previous incumbents of that role. Uh, it's nice to have the variety if you're good enough at it, but I didn't think it worked yesterday. Did you? I was very uncomfortable watching it.
Yeah, there was a lot more short passes than there has been in previous games, and all that does is invite the press. Um, but there was one occasion where we wanted him to go down the middle and go long, and he couldn't because there was a player closing him down, and that I mean that clearance could have been blocked and then ended up in a goal. So I can understand him going passing the ball out to his right on that occasion, but I didn't like them. They were doing it too much, and it was really inviting the press. It was getting nervy from a spectator's point of view. Yeah, I thought United look a lot more comfortable when he goes long with his right foot and his left foot, to Sheshko or whoever, because yeah, that seems like a more sensible approach. And like we've seen that with Tottenham yesterday. I don't know if you saw the highlights of Tottenham Chelsea.
No.
Opportunities were coming for Chelsea by Tottenham playing the ball out from the back, and
Yeah,
one of the goals came from that as well. I know the goal itself from João Pedro. It was another
yeah.
poor pass that led to that.
It was. It was. Well,
So
if Kyle, if Martinez comes in and is fit enough to stay in the team, and we all believe he's good enough to hold down that role, perhaps in the interim period to deal with the Dallo question, Luke Shaw could be moved forward ahead and could play maybe not the total game every game, but he certainly was sound yesterday. There were very few that I thought really put in a performance, but I thought Shaw was good yesterday, and he's not playing more than one game a week as we talked about, and he could be a player who, on an interim basis this season, before January comes around, and who knows what will happen then. But he certainly would be preferable to Dallo. He's got a left foot, and he comes forward well, and he interacts with the front three particularly well when he's in that space. So why not? Would the manager consider that?
yeah, and that's a very interesting point. Yeah, he was winning his duels a lot yesterday, which I liked. Uh, Good clean tackles, and he was he's out muscling his man. He obviously he's got big upper body, so you'd expect that, and winning his headers too. And yeah, he was a solid performer yesterday. But yeah, 5 years ago, Luke Shaw would have been an obvious selection for left wing back. Would have been a perfect role for him. But it's whether or not he has the fitness now to be able to get up and down the pitch, which that role requires. Because anyone who plays in that role is going to find themselves box to box basically. And has he has he got the fitness now to do that? Will his body break down if you play him in that role? But the only way we're going to find out is if we give it a go. And when Martinez comes back, and we expect him to start as soon as he's available, then I think we should trial Shaw in the left wing back role, as you say, and see how it goes. Because
Absolutely. He doesn't have to play the 90. You know what I mean? You have Dorgu can come in there after 60 for him if he's tired, but he is good
yeah,
enough to start the game, yeah.
and we know the manager loves to substitute a defender, so
Yeah.
get, give Shaw 60 minutes and then bring Dorgu on. Yeah, that seems like
Yeah.
a sensible approach to the end of the season. So it's all about whenever Martinez comes back and whether the manager's willing
Yeah.
to well,
We're all slightly tentative, Kyle. We want the guy to spend the rest of his career at Old Trafford, but he's had two serious injuries and a long time out. Somebody said the other day about how many appearances he made, and I thought would have been more than that, but obviously he has missed. And we're worried that he will be fit. That's why they're playing it so carefully this time. He may not appear against Spurs, or if he does, he should only get 10 or 15 minutes. And then the international break, and he's had extra time then. Get him a regular squad member to the games after the break.
yeah, uh, yeah, he'll either come on as a sub against Spurs or else more likely probably a sub against Everton and
Yeah,
easing it back in. Maybe a couple of sub appearances before he starts, and then maybe in his third or fourth match he might start a game. So it's all, and then only play about 60 minutes and then bring him off. So I think
yeah,
that's sensible approach. But he's massive for United at both ends of the pitch because his passing range is unbelievable, and he can assist goals even from his own half, and he can assist goals. We've seen him do that. He can score goals as well. I've talked about it again and again. Uh, Last winter, the amount of games that he's either assisting winners or scoring winners himself was quite enormous for a defender. And obviously, as a defender, we know what he's like. He's full blooded. He's like Nemanja
Yeah,
Vidic.
he's
He's
competitive and he
mm,
wants to play for the shirt, and it's hurting him that he's out of the team through injury. And he'll come back with the same intensity that he had, but whether he's physically able, time will tell. And we're all hoping he is because he's a great, great player.
mm. Yeah. So I would really like to see this 11 and see how it goes. Obviously, Lamain's in goal. Uh, Ahmad as the right wing back. Then across the back, you'd have Lenny Yarrow, Delicta Martinez, and
Yeah,
Shaw as a left wing back. Um, Casemiro and Bruno, and then the usual front three of Mbumo, Kuna, and Shesko. I'd love to see how that would go. I know you're an advocate for Manu coming in to partner Bruno, but it seems very unlikely. And maybe the manager feels there's more balance with Casemiro alongside Bruno. But yeah, I would love to see that 11 and see how it goes.
yeah, that sounds good to me. I think it certainly, if it played unchanged for 5 or 6 games, and people got the used to playing with each other, that's a formidable team. I would have thought. Yeah,
Yeah, we should win more games than we'll lose. That's for sure.
yeah,
Uh, So we've got Tottenham coming up, and they're not pulling up any trees at the moment. So there should be no fear there from United. They're making mistakes at the back. They're trying to play out from the back, Tottenham, and they're giving the ball away. So if we can press them high, we'll get opportunities. And the thing is, we just have to be clinical. If we're clinical in this match, then I think we'll win. Uh, their goalkeeper seems decent enough. I can't remember his name, Decario or something. He made a few important saves last
that's
night.
right. Yeah,
But if we can,
but
if we,
morale in their squad, Kyle, isn't good either. You saw where the two back players, Jed Spence and Mickey Van de Ven, wouldn't shake Thomas Tuchel's hand when they came up to walk past him. He wasn't one bit happy. So that sort of disruption in a team we're going to play next week suits me well because something's not right there. The press covered
yeah,
it this morning very, very for quite a while.
yeah, a lot was being made of their start of the season, and I wasn't getting too carried away because it was only a few games in, and now the wheels have come off, and so this is a good time to play them. I feel, and Chelsea themselves have not been pulling up any trees, and they went there and won. So I think it's an opportunity for us to go there and get 3 points. And I definitely want the 3 points now. I'm not going to be satisfied with a draw after drawing against Forest, because yeah, I don't want two draws in a row. Otherwise, more teams are going to leapfrog us at the top of the table. I'm just really, really annoyed that we missed the opportunity to go second. But it shows you how far we've come. That we're now disappointed with a draw away from home and not, that's and not getting the second place in the table. Last season we'd second place was so far off. We could only dream of being in that position on the table. Now we're annoyed that we're not there, that we missed the opportunity to get there. So we've come, I suppose, a long way in such a short space of time. But yeah, as the United fans, you want to win games. You don't accept draws,
Yeah,
especially against inferior opposition. Uh,
yeah. Well,
a draw away.
Amarin has said quite often, Kyle, that we are Manchester United. We need to win every game. The pressure's always on us, but we didn't do enough yesterday to win that game. If I'm honest about it, and if we're going to Spurs, we need to be up, as you say, for a win. Absolutely no negativity at all, because we need to get on the front foot, score a goal, and then go on. If with the possession that we had against Nottingham Forest at White Hart Lane, then we should be winning that game. And let's all of us be positive about it. Don't want to hear anything about last season. Not remotely interested. It's onwards and upwards for this team, and let's go.
Yeah, and as has been well documented by the media, we lost 4 games to Tottenham last season, which is one of them in particular was really sore. So we owe them one. That should be players should be reminded of that all week, and to give them extra motivation to go out and win this game. because we cannot be losing the Tottenham again, especially with the form that they're in. They're in a bad moment, Tottenham. So this is a chance to go there and get 3 points. And Mickey here is in the comments, and he says, bit of a mixed bag yesterday. Tottenham were definitely beatable. Dallo wouldn't start for Glenavon. He needs dropped as soon as possible.
He's been listening to me. Good man, Mickey. But then
Yeah,
the outlets, Kyle, are all the TV outlets are all about Champions League football this week. We're a squad that has none of that. We should be concentrating all week, trying things out in training with plenty of time to focus on one game before the break, and let's go and win it. Shouldn't be any excuses. They should be absolutely. I mean, all those other top teams are all involved in Champions League, and they're playing more, and they need all their squad. We have a squad there. We're not even using ours, and yet we're only playing one game. There's a purpose for having five substitutions available to every manager on every Premier League day, and Amram just doesn't seem to get that.
yeah. There's nobody can explain to me how a team can be 2-1 down for most of the second half, and the only subs a manager makes is to bring on two defenders for two defenders. Nobody can explain to me what the manager's thinking was there, but he tried to explain it in the press conference, but I wasn't buying it. It just wasn't good enough for me. He did not even make one, you know, offensive change. Even throwing Maguire up top, that would have been something, but he didn't
Yeah,
do it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and as you rightly said, Tottenham have a midweek fixture in the Champions League at home to FC Copenhagen. Unfortunately, I was hoping it was going to be like an away game to Barcelona or something like that. But yeah, that's next Sunday. I think it's the no, it's not next Sunday. It's next Saturday at 12:30.
It
And
is indeed. You'll have to get out of your bed early on a Saturday morning for a change.
yeah, it's going to be tough. But but let's get on to the player ratings then. So I'll let you do them. The goalkeeper who you've been impressed with.
Yeah, another good seven for me. He's settling in well and doing the basics well, and the goals weren't his fault. He was exposed.
Lenny Yarrow,
I give him a six.
Delict.
Another seven. I think he's getting better now. He's reading the game well. I thought he was signed. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's very aggressive in his defending,
Mm.
which I liked. Uh, Luke Shaw,
Oh, seven. One of his better games, and he really looked as if he was up for it yesterday. Many of them didn't, but he did. Yeah.
Diogo Dallo,
Another three, and he's lucky to get three from me. He's just, as I said, on either side of the pitch, he's just not good enough for our club. I don't think.
yeah, and me and you thought that 3 years ago. Now
Yeah.
everybody is on board, and he's just atrocious. Doesn't belong at this level, unfortunately.
Well,
I don't know how.
He doesn't always play for the international team now, does he? There's other people preferred to him. So,
Yeah,
you
he
know.
started
So
against Ireland, which was a surprise, and he actually made a last-ditch tackle in that game, which prevented an Ireland goal. I think the one time I see a good piece of defending from Dallo, it happens for Portugal against Ireland. You know,
yeah, I know. I know. There's a certain irony there. All right.
yeah. Amad Diallo,
Uh, he had up and down, but beautiful technique for the goal. I'd give him a six.
uh, Casemiro.
I don't think he should have played 90, but give him a six for what he did. And his goal, of course, maybe put it up to seven for a goal. He's a good header of the ball, very useful in that the other opposition's box.
Yeah, and Bruno very unlucky not to score a rasper from distance.
Yeah, yeah, I'd give him a seven.
Uh, Mateus Cunha.
A very quiet game. I'd give him a five. He really. Do you remember he had that one shot which went into the goalkeeper's arms? It was totally ineffectual. He wasn't really. I mean, he is a great player and he can't play at that level every week. It doesn't seem to. But we need more regular top level performances from him when you pay that sort of money.
Mm, but he's being persistently fouled yesterday, and the referee was not getting his yellow card out, which was
No,
frustrating all of us.
yeah,
Uh,
he wasn't indeed. Yeah,
he's a target for the opposition now. They
yeah,
know that he can carry the ball very well from his own half, and every time he picks the ball up in his own half, he's fouled because they want to, stop our counter attack. So the referee needs to get his yellow card out a lot sooner, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would
Uh,
agree with that. Definitely. Yeah.
so Brian Mbeumo, another top performance from him.
Oh, I'd give him an 8. I think he worked his socks up from minute 1 to minute 90 plus. He was, no, he didn't always get it right, but he was trying so hard, and he's got vision, and he can kibble the ball dead when it comes from a height from the goalkeeper, for example. It's lovely to watch. You've remarked on that, and I thought he was particularly good at it yesterday.
I just remembered Casemiro should have had a second goal. There was a lovely wee cross by Ahmad into the
Yeah,
middle, into a really dangerous area, and Casemiro didn't make a good connection at the back post.
that's right.
Uh, yeah, that should have been a goal as well. But yeah, it
Mm.
was really good ball from Ahmad. So and Benjamin Sesko.
I give him a 5, no better than that. Don't think he was involved enough. Uh, I had an occasional shot from outside the box well wide, but nothing to trouble the goalkeeper. So I don't think he deserves any more than that.
Uh, yeah, he had a couple efforts on goal and didn't find the target, and yeah, it was disappointing. But again, he's not one of those players. He's still learning. He's not the finished article.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so the manager, Amarim, what does he get?
He only gets a 5 from me. His substitutions and his desire to make changes when changes are necessary doesn't seem to have it in him. It was a legacy from last season. I was hoping he was getting out of that because we're starting to win games. The word is courage. You need to have courage to change it and go for it, and don't sit back and be happy with a point away from home. That's not. We want to be properly led with people with forcefulness that can see things happening that needs change and make those changes. It didn't happen yesterday, so that's why it's got a lower mark.
Yeah, he got a 9 for winning at Anfield, and justifiably so. But
Deservedly
we're
so, yeah, absolutely.
but we're back down to 5 after those substitutions or lack thereof again. We were hugely frustrated last season with, particularly in big games, which I won't even mention, the lack of subs and the waiting too long to make subs, and that has crept back in again yesterday. It's You want to see a manager being able to affect the game during the match. You want to see him having a plan B or a plan C. You want to see his in-game management having an effect on the results, and that didn't
Yeah.
happen yesterday. He
No,
was far too
and to
passive.
acknowledge that players that are in the squad that have trained all week and don't have an opportunity to play in another facet of the game, Europe or League Cup, and they're chomping at the bit to be given an opportunity. And when they're not, the morale of the squad dips, Kyle, and we need to get everybody involved. We just can't rely on the 11 and 12 and not make changes when obviously the game is there to be won. I mean, when it got to 2-2, that was the point to throw 3 subs on. And as you said, Maguire would be the first one. He's a big man for getting a late goal. That didn't happen yesterday. Just inexcusable, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, Mount for Kuna or even Mount for Shesko could have been a substitution,
Yeah.
and then I suppose in the last 10 minutes he could have threw even taken a
Oh,
centre half on, put Maguire on, and pushed Maguire up top or something.
yeah. Just a bit of a change. Rattle him.
He did this at Forest last season when we were chasing an equaliser. We lost the game 1-0. Alanga scored a breakaway goal, and in the last 10 minutes of the game, he put Maguire up top, and we're getting cross after cross and into the middle. And Maguire was causing havoc for Forest, and he had a shot that was cleared off the line. So I don't know why he didn't at least try that again. But yeah, he had 4 options there that could have been attacking subs, and he didn't use any of them. And I don't understand that. As you said, it lacked ambition, and it was as if he was just happy enough with the draw. And n- n- no United fans were happy with the draw. Given the opposition that we were playing, and it wasn't as if we went to the Emirates and we drew, we'd be happy enough with that. But away to Forest, it has to be 3 points.
Yeah, and you're sitting on 16 points before you start the game. It's not as if, and you've had 3 wins in a row, and there's not the pressure on you. Your job's not in question. Just let the team go and tell them to enjoy it and try to get a winner. but just don't sit back there and let things happen that, oh, we'll go, it's 2 each and we'll take that sort of thing. United are better than that. We're a bigger club than that, guy.
Yeah, and I would say that the players who were not used yesterday were probably insulted by that. That they probably feel as if they weren't trusted by the manager, and the manager tried to play that down after the game. But there's no doubt in my mind that those players who sat on the bench yesterday and didn't get a look in would have been a slap in the face.
Yeah, it's not inclusive to do that. When it's exclusive like that, it can fester and people can get really. I mean, do you remember when Manu came on, he made a mistake? Those guys at the moment are getting so little football that when they do come on, they can make mistakes because they're trying so hard to make an impression. And the less
Mm.
football they get, it's too much pressure on them. Let the games flow and let people with fresh legs, with 10 minutes, 15 minutes to go, let them have a go.
I have saw that with Manu this season when he's come on as a sub, he's trying too hard to affect the game, but he's under so
Yeah,
much pressure to do something to impress the manager, and that really
absolutely.
doesn't help either. You
No,
know,
absolutely. It's a good point. Yeah,
Yeah, ideally we would have midweek games and there'd be rotation and these players would get a chance, but with only one game a week and the manager so reluctant to make subs, then these players are just not getting a look. And it's no wonder that Manu and Xerxes have been linked with January moves, and the club will block any attempt by Manu to leave the club because, as you've said, we're only one injury away from needing him, so we
yeah.
can't let him go.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, you could have changed Bruno's position late in the game, to facilitate Manu coming on and getting a run and trying something. And he can dribble on his day and do things that he. And if say he did come on late and got a goal, what would that do for his confidence? I mean, he's no longer in the England squad when he was in the final of the Euros, so his career is dipped, and he's bound to see that. And when he's not getting like any minutes every week, when they're training all week and everybody's ready to go, the system allows you to bring 5 subs on. You just don't bring them on for the sake of bringing them on. The situation of the game dictates that, guy. But yesterday was the opportunity for fresh legs. I mean, Casemiro could have played 80 minutes and been quite happy to go off and give some. You know what I mean? Kept him on
Yeah,
tonight. He hasn't done that with Casemiro much this season. Maybe that yesterday was the only time, possibly.
he's probably hoping that he would score from a set piece again. Well, I cannot remember an occasion in my entire life where a team has been losing for for the majority of a second half, and the manager didn't make one attacking sub. Not one. I can't remember an occasion where that has happened before.
Yeah, but he said last night when I listened to his post-match conference that he thought the team was playing well and it didn't need to be changed. Everybody around me said something has to be done. It's just not working today. Let's try something different. You need to have the
Yeah,
courage of your convictions. If you believe they're in your squad week in and week out, they must have some ability. They're just not there for nothing.
yeah, and I didn't feel as if Kuna was having a massive impact on the game, and Shesko was having a bad day at the office. So
Yes.
you have to bring them off. You can't just be thinking they're playing well here. I'm going to leave them on. They weren't. When Boomer was playing well, I wouldn't take him off. But
No, no, he was excellent. Yeah.
the other two, there's definitely a strong argument to make changes there, bring Mount and Xerxes on or something. Yeah, it just made no sense to me, and him trying to explain it afterwards didn't make me feel any happier about it, to be honest.
Join the club.
Okay, we shall wrap it up there. Please, everybody, like the video if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe to the podcast while you're watching on YouTube, while you're listening on Apple or Spotify, and get more of your comments in. And I would reply to as many of those as possible. And thank you to all the shares, the downloads, and the retweets, and try to get the pod out there to as many United fans as possible. So, Nigel, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, thanks a million. Nice to be back. Get me for a win sometime, will you, please?
Yeah, I'll make sure the next time you're on, it's after a win. All right, I'll see you later.
Okay, see you. Bye.